All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are doing amazingly well. Today, we're going to be looking at a video on data visualization in Python. We're going to be seeing how to work with a very simple library, and we're going to just do one small part of it. I'm creating a series of videos so you can watch the different parts to understand what the extent of the library is and what it can do. But today, we're going to be looking at how you can create a simple bar plot with annotations in a library called Seaborn in Python. So for those of you who are watching this video and are beginners in Python, Seaborn is a library that can create some great visualizations for you, and it has a lot of flexibility in terms of how you can customize the visuals, how you can add things to it, creating different sorts of charts and visuals as well. So this series on Seaborn is going to take you through that journey. Right, so let's get straight into the coding. I'm going to be using Google Colab to write the code. We'll understand each and every line of code that we write. I'm going to make sure that you take away the entirety of how to create a bar plot by understanding each and every line that we write. Right, so if you are doing this along with me, then make sure you have your Colab or your Jupyter notebook opened up, and then you can follow along as well. If not, you can watch this video in 0.5, or you can just stop at logical points and understand how to do this and try it out yourself as well. All right, so let's get straight to it. So first and foremost, the most important thing to do is to import the required libraries in. That's what I'm going to write down here as well. I'm going to put a comment saying importing libraries, because commenting is a very important thing in Python, so people who are reading your code can understand what you're writing in that code segment. So we're going to import the libraries using the import keyword. We're going to just import two libraries to start with. First and foremost is matplotlib, because we're going to use some segments of that, and we're going to say matplotlib.pyplot as plt. So the as function is used to give an alias to the library name, so you don't have to type the whole thing out every now and then. And then we say import Seaborn as SNS. So again, SNS is a short form. You can put your own name, you can give whatever you want as an alias. All right, and let's go ahead and run the code so that the libraries are imported. Right, so now you can run the code either by clicking on the run button here or by using the keyboard shortcut, shift enter. Either way works. All right, so what I'm going to do is, in the next code cell, we're going to load in the Titanic data set. All right, this is a standard data set that a lot of you would work with throughout your Python journey, at least when you're at a beginner level. So let's try to get that in and try to use that to do our bar plot. All right, so we're going to create a variable called Titanic, very straightforward. We're going to use the Seaborn library to load the data set in. So we're going to say sns.load_dataset. Then we say Titanic. Right, now you can use the single quotes or double quotes. Either one works. And then we can just say Titanic.head to make sure that our data set is imported in, it's loaded, and it's visible to everybody. All right, so once we load in the data set, you can see that it has a few columns like survived, passenger class, gender, age, so on and so forth. You can go through the data set and it's quite straightforward to understand. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create the bar plot. Right, so we're going to just put a comment saying create the bar plot. So creating a bar plot in Seaborn is quite straightforward. You can just say SNS, which is our library, dot bar plot. So bar plot is the function that will allow you to create a bar plot. Within that, we have to provide an x-axis, we have to provide a y-axis, which is the fundamental of a bar plot. So on the x-axis, we're going to say x equals to signify that we are giving information to the x-axis, or we're putting information on the x-axis, we are going to take the class. So the class is basically, what class the passenger was in, whether it was first class, second class, third class. So I'm going to say class. For the y-axis, I'm going to say survived, because what I want to do is I want to figure out what is the percentage or ratio of people surviving in the different classes. So I'm going to say survived here. So I have my x and y axis. The next thing I need to say is, where is this data coming from, right? So the data is coming from this data set called Titanic, right? That's what we loaded up here. I'm going to just say Titanic. And that should pretty much give us the bar plot, right? Now remember one thing, that if you face any error, go back, look at what you did wrong. Errors are part and parcel of every beginner's journey. So whenever you encounter an error, it's absolutely okay. You can go ahead and fix it. If you have any trouble, put your question down in the comments and I'll help you out. All right. So now you see we have a very simple bar plot up here that gives us the x-axis as class, y-axis as survived, and then we have 3 bars indicating the value of what is the percentage of survival across these different classes, right? It shows us that people in the first class survived more as opposed to people in the third class. Okay. Now let's try to improve the readability of the bar plot by adding in a few things, right? We'll try to get rid of this confidence interval bar here, the line that you see here. We'll try to add in annotation, so we have some numbers signifying how much is the percentage on each of those bars. And then we'll make sure we have a title and some labels to the axis, just to add to the aesthetics of the plot as well, right? First thing, to remove confidence interval, in addition to the 3 parameters of x, y, and data that I put in, I'm going to use a parameter called CI, which signifies confidence interval. And I'm going to say that's equal to none, meaning I do not want the confidence interval there. And you see that that particular line is not there on the plot anymore. All right, very straightforward. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to try and add annotations. Now, in Seaborn, there is no straightforward way to add numbers on top of your bars. You have to find your way around it, but that's what I'm here to tell you about. All right. So let me tell you the logic first behind what I'm going to type in, or what we're going to write together, and then let's try it out. Okay. So for each of these bars that you see here, what my aim is to put a number on the center, top center of the bar, right? That's the main idea. So what I'd have to do is I'd have to write a piece of code to make sure I can get to the top center. And then to the same piece of code, I need to add what the value is. And I also need to do it for all the 3 bars. All right. So that's the logic that we're going to try and put down in Python code. Okay. Let me just zoom in a little bit here so that you guys can also see better. So I'm going to put a for loop because I want to go through each of the bars, right? I want to iterate through them. So I'm going to say for I, and I'm going to put another iterator or a variable here called bar in. Now, where am I going to get the value of I and bar from, or how am I going to rotate through it? I'm going to rotate through it by using my plot itself. So I'm going to say in enumerate plt.gca.patches. All right. Now, what am I doing here? I'm basically saying that I want to go through the plotted bar plot. I want to get the current axis. So GCA stands for get current axis. And I want to get the patches that exist on those axes. So patches are basically these 3 bars that you see here, right? Each of them is called a patch. So as I go through the patches using a for loop, I'll be able to access each of those individual bars. Now, once I get into the for loop, I'm going to say in the plot on the current axis that I have, I'm going to add some text to annotate on top of the bar, right? Now, the first thing is, where do I want to annotate, right? So I have to put the coordinates of the where. Now, if we logically try to figure out where the top center is, it's basically going up this bar and then going to the middle, right? So I'm going up the height and I'm going towards half of the width of the bar. That's what we have to write here as well. So we say bar dot get underscore x, all right? So that is going to get me, sorry, let's put a dot here. So bar dot get underscore x, which is going to get me this particular point or this particular point here, right? And then I got to go to half of it. So I'm going to say plus bar dot get underscore width. So I'm going to get the width of the bar. I'm going to divide that by 2. So that'll take me to half, right? Again, there should be a dot here, not a comma. I don't know why I keep putting a comma, right? So that brings me to half of the bar. So I'm now at the halfway position. I'm not yet at the top. I'm here, right? So I got the x and I'm halfway here. Now I got to go up. So very simply, I'm going to say bar dot get underscore height, right? So I came from x initial position to half of the bar and then I went up, right? So that's basically what I put down here. So these are the coordinates of where you want to put the text. Then I want to say what the text is actually going to be. So I'm going to say the text is a string of, it's always better to put a string on the top of any bar. I'm going to say round because I don't want too many decimal places, else it'll just give you 15, 20 decimal places. Bar dot get underscore height, because the value of the bar is how tall the bar is essentially, right? And then I'm going to say I want 2 decimal places on that particular value. I don't need any more than that. You can put 3 if you want as well. That's totally up to you, right? And then I want to make sure the alignment is okay. So I'm going to say horizontal alignment should be at the center and the vertical alignment should be at the bottom. All right. So this is basically how you annotate. So once again, going through it, I'm going to go through each of the bars. Now in each of the bar, I'm going to put a text. This is where I am going to put the text. That includes this whole thing. This is what is the value I'm going to put there. And then some more parameters for alignment at the center and bottom of that particular area, if you may. And let's try to run this. If you get any errors, we'll try to solve it. But if we don't get any errors, then we should be able to see a bar plot with the values there on the top. So you'll see the values of 0.63, supposed to be 630, but there's no value after. So it gives you 63, 0.437, 0.242. This is the average survival rate of the passengers in each of the class. So first class has 63% of survival, second has 47.3, and third at 24.2. Right? So this is how you annotate a bar plot. Straightforward. Hope you guys understood that. Let's just do a few additional things to clean up the plot. So we'll say plt.title. As you all know, this is to give a title to the particular plot. So we'll say survival rate by class. Okay. And we can give a font size. Let's say 14, right? The font size is basically going to make it big or small, depending on what you want. And then we'll say plt.x label. So x label is basically the x-axis label. We're going to say passenger class is the x-axis label. Again, we can give a font size if you want. probably 12, and then we'll say plt.y label. What is the y label? The y label is basically the survival rate. Survival rate is going to be also of a similar font size. All right. Now, along with that, what you may want to do is maybe you want to limit the y-axis from 0 to 1. So instead of it just randomly ending off at 0.6, 0.65, you can say, I want the y limit. So plt.y limit. It's quite intuitive. So y limit should be from 0 to 1. Right. So that's what you can define as well. And then once you have all that in, you can just say plt.show so that it will show you everything that you have put together, and then we can run it. So now it should give you everything that you have asked for. You have a title up here, survival rate by class. You have the survival rate y-axis label. You have the x-axis label. You have the limits from 0 to 1, and you have the annotations. So this ensures that you have a nice looking chart, you have a meaningful chart, you have readability points there. People can now easily go and understand and see what the chart is about, what are the values on the chart, and so on. So the most difficult thing to do here is to get this annotation, because as I mentioned earlier, Seaborn doesn't give you a very straightforward way of doing it, but once you know how to do it, then it becomes very easy for you to do across different kind of plots, right? Because you understand the logic behind it. So this is what we wanted to do in this video, show you how to create a very simple bar plot in Seaborn and how to do annotations on the bar plot. Now, in the other videos that I'm going to put in the series, we're going to look at some of the other plots. We're going to see how we can aesthetically make them better, how we can add more value to each and every plot. And if you guys have anything in particular that you would want to see as well using Seaborn or any other library in Python, do let me know in the comments, and I'll be very happy to help you out with any of those codes, and I can create a tutorial for you on that as well. All right. So hope you guys will try it out, and once you do, please let me know whether it worked for you or not. That would be all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please don't forget to drop a like. Share this with everybody who is learning Python and is aspiring to become a coder, an analyst, or somebody who likes to just visualize data. And also do subscribe to my channel to make sure you receive those notifications about my latest videos. Right? Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you all in the next video.